everybody. How's everyone doing? Welcome to our Core Conversation, a series of interviews hosted by local core members about issues that matter to us young teens today in California. My name is Ashley, and I am a recycling education specialist here at CSET, Sequoia Community Core in Tulare County, and I'm happy to be your host for today. We also want to welcome our live audience, and we would love to hear from you. Please enter your comments or questions below in our chat box. And for all of our core members that are watching today, we'd also love to hear from you guys as well. So go ahead and feel free to enter your comments or questions here in the chat box below. Today we are speaking with core members from the Conservation Corps of Long Beach, San Jose Conservation Corps, and Sequoia Community Corps. I'd like to invite each and one of our teammates to introduce themselves, starting with Jacob. Jacob, go ahead.
Hey everybody, my name is Jacob Santillan. I work as a program specialist here at the Sequoia Community Corps.
Hi, I'm Eddie. I'm a crew lead at the San Jose Conservation Corps in the Food Box Department.
Hi, my name is Tito, and I'm a crew leader / driver for the Conservation Corps in Long Beach.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Now I'd like to introduce our moderator, Angela Zuzman. Angela is a director of Story for All nonprofit that amplifies the voices of young people to support hearing our policy change. Take it away, Angela.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and I'm so happy to be with you all today. And I want to give Thomas a chance to introduce himself. I think his mic was muted, so Thomas, welcome. Oh, you're still on mute, so go ahead and unmute yourself. All right, we're having some technical issues with the microphone, so we'll get Thomas unmuted and he can introduce himself more fully when he starts to answer the question. The next question, my first question for you all, of course, you guys have been serving on the front lines throughout the pandemic. I feel so honored to have been able to hear some of your stories, and I'm really looking forward to our audience being able to hear from you too. So we'll start off today just by you telling us a little bit about what have you been doing on the front lines throughout the pandemic, and if you can give us a little bit of an on-the-ground report of what you've been seeing over this time. We're going to start with Thomas and see if his microphone is able to unmute. Thomas, take it away. All right, we're still having technical issues over there. Oh, there he goes, Thomas. Welcome. All right, he'll be back in a second. So Jacob, let's hear from you. What have you been doing throughout the pandemic?
Well, for me, in the heights of the COVID pandemic, I worked in the weatherization department. So originally our job is to increase the energy efficiency of homes. But throughout the COVID pandemic, because we were having like a less frequent home visits, we kind of had to improvise and figure out ways for us to help. So one of the things that we did is we went for emergency situations to homes. For example, like let's say a person was elderly or they had some type of medical condition and their AC were to go out. We would go to their homes and we would make sure that they had a portable air conditioner that was set in their room to make sure that they had temperatures that were safe for them. Some of the other things that we did to sort of improvise and try to find ways to help out is we went to all the CSET sites around Tulare County and we performed sanitation services for them as well.
Okay, great, amazing. There's a huge range of services the local corps have been offering. I want to give Thomas a chance to speak up too. Let's see if we've got the mic situation handled. Thomas, you're on.
Hello. Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah.
I can introduce myself again since I didn't do that. My name is Thomas. I'm with the San Jose Conservation Corps as a senior crew leader in the Emergency Shelters Program. Yeah, and I can speak a little bit to my experience. I've been serving in the Emergency Shelters Program since about January here with the San Jose Conservation Corps. Since then, I've served in a couple of different types of shelters, the first one being a COVID isolation shelter and the second being a vulnerable shelter, which I'm at now. The shelter, that experience was not very hands-on because a lot of the people there were COVID, so we weren't really making too much contact with them.
Yeah.
The thing that really stood out to me there was a lot of the clients there were like without a home and they wouldn't want to leave the hotel even after the 2 week stay, because they were just there for about 2 weeks, to quarantine and then to leave. And in that period of time, we would kind of do the best that we could to support them in any way, but we couldn't really offer them too much services in that 2 week span. And it was just kind of heartbreaking to see them really not want to leave the hotel and because they didn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
serving at a vulnerable hotel. It's mostly an older population, people who have other health conditions that make them more vulnerable to COVID-19. And this experience has been, I've learned a lot. It's been really eye-opening for me. I made a lot of connections. Something that really stood out to me, I've been working with a client that we have who is blind. And before the pandemic, she was able to receive a lot of services that were able to help her out with her condition. But after the pandemic, it made it really hard to be able to find those services. So when she was telling me that kind of just hit home for me.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. Tito, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and seeing on the ground.
Well, since it started, I've actually, done a lot of recycling and litter to pick up for a lot of the elderly. And I was also able to go up to San Jose and help out with the food distribution, actually aid them and assist them in what they were doing.
Okay, great. And Ashley, how about you?
Okay, because it was unfortunate that through the pandemic, our schools were shut down. And at that moment, there wasn't any Zoom. So I actually shifted to another position, and I was actually in the senior services. What we did is we prepared bags for our senior services so they can have meals. I actually was a driver for them, delivering their meals. We were prepping bags for them. So that way they weren't, it was a high risk for them to actually come out from their homes. So what I did is I actually served meals for the senior services.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you. And tell me about what it was like entering some of those senior care facilities. I know that some of the facilities, there were a lot of patients or people in there that had COVID. What was that like for you?
I do have a story that I can also share. I actually entered a facility there in Porterville, and there was numerous of cases, positive cases. Of course, we had the proper gear, such as a jumpsuit. We had a face mask, a face shield, the proper gear for our shoes. We also had glasses. My experience for that was very challenging because I do have my own family. But, it was something that I was fortunate that I wanted to do, and I wanted to serve the elderlies. And, as we take risk every single day, I believe that it was important for all of us. And I believe that we all want to eat today. And I believe that it was something that I believe it was just a blessing to be able to serve those elderly's food who can't make it out of their facility.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about your service and what you saw.
What I saw during that, during the pandemic with serving food, it was just devastating. I saw a lot of hurt families, there wasn't a lot of support with their families, only because there wasn't people allowed to go to the facilities and see the elderlies and also take them their food as if we weren't in the pandemic, as they used to were doing. And I felt like, for me having a grandfather of my own, I wasn't able to do those things for him. And knowing that I was able to actually work for the senior services and, handle bags and handle delivering food, I felt like that was a real blessing for myself and for others.
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much. And I'd like to hear from Eddie now. Eddie, what was your experience like on the ground throughout the pandemic?
So like most cores, we have a recycling department in San Jose that picks up recycling from people's homes. But ever since the pandemic started, we started a new project partnering with Second Harvest to package food boxes. So that's what I've been doing for the past 6 months, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right, great. I know that the local corps have been really nimble, that, we'll hear more about this, but that each of the local corps just kind of responded to what was happening in their community, and also really did everything they could to make it as safe as possible for you guys being out there on the front lines. And like Ashley was mentioning, sometimes being in places where you knew there were COVID positive cases. So I want to hear from you a little bit about what it was like for you as young people kind of getting used to these guidelines. What did that take from you? What was that process like? We'll start with you, Eddie.
Okay, so at first I actually thought this was an average job, cause I had another job before that, and I started working here, and obviously like with the pandemic going on, there's all these new guidelines, so I had to adjust to wearing a mask, all of that kind of stuff. So I didn't actually take that serious, but at one point I had someone in my family, like a relative, catch it, and they had him in a ventilator, which was pretty crazy, because like I thought it was just like a common cold, to be honest. So ever since that happened, I started taking it more serious. I started wearing my mask more, distancing. I think that's a big thing that plays part. And yeah, I personally noticed that, I haven't caught a cold or anything ever since. So I think that is effective in my opinion.
Awesome. Okay, so it was a little bit of a journey for you. How about you, Ashley? I mean, you just gave us that description of entering that senior home, just fully suited up. So what was it like for you following the guidelines?
It was very much interesting. It was someone for me, it was, and if you know me, you know that I tend to just blow my mind when it comes to things like this. I tend to, and like Eddie had mentioned, at first I was just, it was a common cold. I don't know how serious it was. And as numbers kept coming and coming and coming, and a lot of people, were passing on lives, and it was a big challenge for me. Every day I see life as a risk, and I see, it was just very challenging. But like I said, it was also a blessing. It was something that I actually was proud of. It was something that I actually, hey, here I am working through this pandemic. This is, something that's just top of the line, and it was just very challenging for me.
Yeah, I hear you. Tito, what's your experience been like with the guidelines?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, honestly, but I mean, it is something to get used to. A mask every day, social distancing, and I mean, of course, washing your hands. That's something that shouldn't be. But other than that, I mean, it's hard, but to stay safe, you have to follow them, and that's all I've been doing is just taking the extra precautionary measures to follow the guidelines. So
Yeah, thank you for that. How about you, Jacob?
It was a huge shift that happened very, very, very fast. I mean, at least for me, just kind of like Eduardo was saying a little bit, when he first heard about it, he wasn't so worried about it. At least I wasn't. I mean, you hear about, like, I remember hearing people talking about it, like, oh, the coronavirus, and saying it, there's cases of it like all across the world. And at least for me, I mean, it's really easy for us to hear about these world events happening, and it's sort of like you kind of just brush it off. It's like, well, it's not affecting me. I don't really see it. So it's really easy to just kind of sweep under the rug. But whenever the COVID-19 cases started happening, at least for our core here, they took action very, very fast. So it was a very fast change for us. We went from, wearing our normal PPE, like our normal cover-resistant gloves, safety glasses, boots, helmets, that type of thing, to switching over to different types of gloves, glasses, face masks, N95 mask. And we even, whenever we went to households, we had to wear full-on jumpsuits. We had to wear hairnets under the hood of the jumpsuit, gloves, N95s, face masks, goggles, and we even had booties that would wrap into the bottom of the jumpsuit to make sure there wasn't no air exposure. It was a very fast change. It was definitely a very fast change. But I mean, at the end of the day, they took action quickly. And whenever we started to see the cases starting to come in, and like, you get that actual fear in you, because you're just like, okay, now I see friends, now I see family, now I'm hearing about the cases happening here. It's sort of like a wake up call. They did it for a reason. So you know, looking back on it, I'm very happy that they took action very fast.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. And Thomas, what's it been like for you with the guidelines?
Yeah, for sure. Kind of like Tito said, it was mainly just a big adjustment. Just getting used to all the extra guidelines like wearing masks and social distancing. I mean, I'm still reminding myself to this day to keep my distance from people and stuff like that. But mainly, I try to keep in mind for myself at least that it's not really about me and what I want. It's about like the bigger goal. It's about everyone else, keeping everyone safe together, and hopefully, if everyone followed the guidelines, it would come to an end sooner. So that's what kind of motivated me to keep doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Right. So not to get complacent, right? We're still in a situation here, and it's really not just about us. It's about our community and our families as well. You all put yourselves at some level of risk. I hear that you had all the safety, materials that you needed. I know the local corps were really supportive in that. And at the same time, you showed up every single day. Many of us have the luxury of working from home. A lot of people quit their jobs, but you guys chose to show up every single day on the front lines to serve your communities. Why did you do it? So let's start with you, Tito.
I mean, honestly, the bills had to get paid, and you know, my family has to eat, and so I'd rather me take the risk of me to go out there and work to earn the money for them instead of them taking the risk to go out themselves. So honestly, it was for my family. That's the real big reason why I stayed frontline through everything. So.
Wow. Thank you so much. Ashley, how about you? What brought you to the front lines every day?
Kind of like Tito mentioned, as a single mother, bills had to get paid. Um, you know, um, I believe that by our Sequoia Community Corps, we have a great team out here and we have the proper gear and the proper guidelines and we're following everything. And I believe working at that minute, working with the elderlies, I felt like it was only fair to help them out. And it's unfortunate that they can't make it out here to do their own grocery shopping or receiving food. Some of them weren't able to even get food out here, and I felt like it was just a really blessing to be able to hear the elderlies from the window. Thank you so much for bringing me my food. We count on you, and just hearing them and being able to wake up every morning, say, "Hey, I'm going to feed an out in person today, an elderly." I believe that was very important for myself.
Wow. Amazing. And you had family at home, right? You had some kids that were doing online learning. So you really had to make that choice. You had to take care of your family and at the same time be there for your community.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Eddie, what brought you out every day?
So before the pandemic, I actually did have another job, but again, the pandemic hit. I got laid off, and I actually had a friend who told me about the San Jose Conservation Corps. I applied. I got accepted, and they from the get go, they brought me straight into food boxing. So it was pretty cool. In a warehouse, the first time I get a warehouse job. And eventually, as I made the boxes and all, we ended up making a distribution project. So we actually give out the boxes to churches, community centers, that type of thing. And so then after a while, as I started working it, I just got a good feeling like just feeding all the families because I saw a lot of cars and things like that. And at the end, it's like what motivated me ever since then. Because at first, I needed to get a job because like they've said before, bills had to be paid. Like I wasn't getting a stable income anymore. So that did help me. But yeah, so what kept me motivated was just like feeding the community. I actually feel like I'm making a difference here in the Silicon Valley. So, yeah.
Yes, you are. Absolutely. Thank you, Eddie. And Thomas, how about you? What keeps you motivated? You're still there on the front lines. What keeps you motivated every day?
Yeah. Obviously, just like everyone else said, we all need to have a job because we have bills that we need to pay. that good stuff. And also what everyone else said. Mainly for me, just serving my community has always been something that's very important to me. It really just motivates me to get out of bed in the morning, because if I wasn't doing this, I might not get out of bed in the morning to go to work. Because I really enjoy doing this more than anything, just serving my community. So yeah, I'd say that's definitely what keeps me going.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, great, thanks. And Jacob, tell us what gets you up there every day, gets you out of bed.
For me personally, I mean, that's what we're all about here. And that's what the core is about. We're about finding the struggling parts of our communities and helping out. So if anything, we were just going straight on head into it. We were trying to find any area that we can help out on. And like Ashley shared earlier, she got moved to the senior services temporarily. I also helped them out as part of weatherization. I mean, that's just how we do. We help each other out. So I got to experience going out there as well and feeding the seniors and seeing the expressions on their face and how grateful they were whenever we showed up. I mean, that's not something that it's not something that you can forget easily. It really is truly inspiring for you to be able to see the effect you have on the community, and that's just what it's all about for me, is helping out. That's what the core does.
Yes, and the chorus could not do it without you, the core members and their teams out there doing it every single day. Now, I know that it wasn't just about your work, right? Like, you guys have been affected by the pandemic personally, as we all have. So if you feel comfortable, I would love to hear a little bit about what this has been like for you personally. What's been going on for you and your families and your loved ones? We'll start with you, Jacob.
Well, for me personally, I mean, it was, there's definitely one event that comes to mind. And for me, that was I had the passing of my grandfather recently. And it was during the height of the COVID pandemic. And it really took a toll on the family. Because I mean, he was, we looked at him as like a head of the family. I mean, he did everything he did, or he did everything he could to possibly support his family and make them happy. He did that his entire life. And unfortunately, 6 months before he passed, my grandmother passed as well. And that was his life right there. He took care of her, he supported her. I mean, he did everything for her. He loved her and he took care of her. That's what he did. And whenever she passed, he went from being 72 and healthy. He can move around easily. He was happy, speaking, smiling. And he took a very fast downfall. He turns lonely, depressed, and so toward his last days, he was actually in the hospital. And this is where it has a lasting effect on me. We couldn't be there for him. He started having very vivid hallucinations. He didn't know where he was. He didn't really know what was going on. And he just seemed confused that we weren't there. And I mean, like I said, he did everything he could possibly think of to make sure his family was taken care of. He's always that smiling person that whenever you see him, it doesn't matter if everybody's angry, he'll still be that smiling person to bring a smile to your face. And then that's who he was. And it's something that's gonna stay with me, that we couldn't be there to remind of how much we loved him for that in his moments. And that's how it personally affected me.
Yeah, I'm sorry for you and your family. I know a lot of families have been going through that, and it seems that his demeanor, you have definitely inherited, Jacob. So thank you for the beautiful smile that you bring. Eddie, what has it been like for you and your family? What have you seen kind of result from this pandemic?
I mean, luckily, I consider my family to be fortunate. So my father still had a job and everything, so he was able to help out. After I fixed myself up and everything, got hired and started working with the Corps, I did notice that my younger siblings, they actually took a toll in an unusual way that I didn't think it would. Like, I have a sister who's a senior high school student, and ever since the pandemic started, she isn't as active. So, she's a very outgoing person. Everyone is actually inside their houses, but I realized, you know, being trapped inside your house, it actually affects you like mentally. And like her, it affected her mentally and academically. Like she's not as motivated to be in her class because we all know, you know, they have to log into the computer every day and like, you know, attend the class through Zoom. Um, but yeah, I just noticed that she's not like going out as much. She just stays indoors, you know. She's just straight up become an indoor person, and it's literally the complete opposite of what she is. So it's very crazy to see that, like, you know, a pandemic like the one we have right now is really affecting people, even, you know, even our younger siblings. So yeah, it's just shocking to see that. But yeah, I guess that's just one way from what I've seen, like, you know, affect other people.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I mean, you guys are like shedding light on what's been happening that isn't necessarily being talked about so much. So I appreciate you being here and kind of giving us a bird's eye view of what you're seeing, what you're experiencing. Ashley, how about you? What's this been like for you and your family?
Throughout the pandemic, I actually had a grandfather who was in a nursing home. Um, Again, we couldn't visit him. If we were to visit him, it was through a glass window. He had dementia, so he kind of was confused on what was going on. He really didn't understand what this whole pandemic was. The nurses would share with him on things that was going on in our world. And before the pandemic, we were actually able to bring him home, you know, bring him over to my grandma's house and take him out for lunch, for dinner. So he was kind of confused on, why isn't my family coming to take me out? Why am I not walking around? Why am I not seeing my family? Why are they seeing me through a window? That was one thing that I could say that really hit my family, was knowing that we couldn't give him that support and understanding. Neither could the nurses. He had his own health issues going on with him, and he ended up, you know, being really, really depressed, and he ended up passing on as well. Yeah. So that was, you know, something that was kind of challenging for us, and just knowing, you know, we couldn't actually have really a big support because of the pandemic, what was going on. It really, you know, hit home.
Yeah, I see. I see your teammates here nodding their heads a little bit, and I think being able to relate and feel what you've been going through.
Yeah.
Tito, what has this been like for you and your loved ones?
Well, first and foremost, condolences to Ashley and Jacob's family. Well, I've been blessed to, fortunate enough to actually be essential through this whole pandemic, and blessed enough to where my family was able to, stay working and stay healthy as well. And honestly, it sucks to see because it's affecting a lot of other people, especially our younger generation, the youth, especially because, like Eddie was saying, they're just at home. There's a lot of distractions. There's no real actual schoolwork being done. I guess there's no real focus. So that's the only thing I have a problem with this pandemic as well. It's messing the new generation up.
Yeah, and again, is there anything any of you guys want to add about that too? Because I don't feel like it's necessarily being talked about as much as some of the other impacts of the pandemic. I mean, Eddie, you're seeing it in your home. Tito, you're seeing it in your community. Thomas, I know you have more to add, but anything else that you guys want to say about what you're seeing or what your fears are for the younger generation right now?
I think it definitely has taken a toll. I personally have seen lots of kids, and they aren't able to go to school or anything like that. They're not able to socialize like they normally would, and not even just your typical teenagers. Even young kids, they're not able to go to preschool and kindergarten and go play around, make friends, learn how to socialize. They're not being able to do that right now, and it's extremely sad because they have the right to go out there and be free, be a normal kid. And the fact that it's getting taken away, it really is a bad thing. But I'm glad that now with the vaccines and now with the precautions that have been taken, I'm starting to see schools open up, at least over here in the Central Valley. And it's really good to see like people smiling again, going to parks again, and being able to socialize.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as for me, as I was, I'm a recycling education specialist, I was going out to schools and doing presentations. I was actually interacting with elementary, middle school, high schools, doing community event outreaches. And for me to actually not be able to go out to school and teach them it, and knowing that I have daughters at home or doing Zoom online, it was, it was kind of, and I love what I do. I love the public speaking. I love going out to, elementary, middle schools and just seeing smiling faces. Hey, we have a presentation today about recycling. Here I am playing games with them. Here I am doing a PowerPoint with them, interacting with them, getting them engaged. I believe that, kind of hit home for me because I wasn't able to do that and go out to the schools, and then seeing my kids at home on Zoom, and it was different for me. I had to learn a lot of new things. I had to learn how to interact through Zoom. I had to learn how to put on a PowerPoint through Zoom. So it was very interesting, and it was, it was unfortunate that we couldn't actually be physically out of school, but it was also a blessing that I got to learn new things as in Zoom, PowerPoint, and such on like that.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Ashley. And I want to give Thomas an opportunity to speak too about this experience and how it has affected him. Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, sure. Tito said my condolences to Jacob and Ashley. Again, my family has been pretty fortunate to not, have any serious health conditions or lose their job or anything like that. But for me personally, when the pandemic hit, I was serving in a different AmeriCorps program that was, like most AmeriCorps programs, very community-based projects and events. And when the pandemic hit, obviously all of those had to come to a close, and a lot of also came to an end, and we were having to work from home. And during that time of working from home, I kind of realized that that wasn't for me at all. And after a little while, decided to part ways from that service program. I ended it early, and hopes to find something that would make me a little bit happier in that time. But after struggling for a little bit, kind of bouncing around to different things, I was able to find the San Jose Conservation Corps, and I've been working with them. And that's been really good. That's helped me out a lot during the pandemic. So, yeah.
Great. And on that point, I'd love to hear from you all. Like we have just all been articulating, right? There's a lot that's been happening through this pandemic, work-wise, personally wise, with our families. I know that your corps have all been very helpful in that they provided you a job, right? Like a steady job, as Tito said, he's been essential this whole time, right? Like you guys have gotten work, you've been able to pay the bills. Are there other ways that you feel like you've been supported by your local corps? I know that our local corps across the country, certainly across California too, it's not just a job, right? There's all kinds of supports that are offered. So I'd love to hear from each of you if there's any way that you felt that your local corps has supported you in addition to providing you with a great job and the opportunity to serve your community. Jacob, let's start with you.
Well, I mean, when I was talking about we are there to help support the struggling parts of the community, we have to remember that as a corps member, we are part of the struggling community. We are part of the people in the community that are looking for change, looking for help. And the staff, they don't forget that. They don't forget that despite the COVID stuff that was going on and the struggling parts of the community outside of the corps, they don't forget that we are a part of the struggling community. So the case managers, the supervisors, they didn't hesitate when it came to asking us if we needed anything, whether that be support from the housing services we have here at CSET, whether it be even things as simple as food distribution. If we wanted some food, they have some food bags extra from our distribution, and they would offer us to take any food without a hesitation. So they always make sure that we're taken care of because they remember that we are a part of the struggling community.
Yeah, well said. Thank you so much. Thomas, how about you? What kind of support have you been getting from your corps in San Jose?
Yeah, similar to Jacob. In the past, they've offered food to me. I was actually working in the food boxing portion of San Jose Conservation Corps previously, And during that time, yeah, they did offer me food, and that was really helpful. But since then, they've offered healthcare services and stuff like that, which is really helps me out in my personal life to like seek help and self care and all that. Especially being in this line of work, it can be very taxing. So it's good to keep your mental health in mind and stuff like that. So I've been utilizing those services that they've offered there.
Okay, great. Thank you. It's such a wide range of services. Ashley, how about you? How has your local corps supported you in addition to the job it provided throughout this time?
You know, like Jacob mentioned, we have a big supportive team here at Sequoia Community Corps, with supervisors, with case management, with, with housing, with paying your utilities, with helping with food. They have never left us alone. We're actually a team here, and we had so many opportunities here with them. Jacob and I were actually, we actually volunteered with, we had a job there in Tulare where they were giving out vaccines, the COVID vaccine shots, and we were actually a part of that. We actually went out there for 2 or 3 days and we volunteered in helping with that. CISA has just impacted our lives numerous of times with numerous of changes and support, and they have never left us, empty. We've always been a great team, and we've always had the help and support till this day that we actually, that we can have today as we go on.
Yeah, great. Well said. The mission of the Corps. Eddie, how about you? How has your Corps supported you throughout this time?
Yeah, so one thing I've noticed is again, I had a stable income. The full 8 hours, very like a lot of overtime opportunities, which is something I think people shouldn't take for granted. Like I think it's really nice to have, and it helps, and it goes a long way. They also what's it called? Have like they said right there, similar to Sequoia. They take their members very serious. They even offer. From what I've heard from other members, we have some people who have kids, and they want to go work and help out here. So they even offer services like that, like for, daycare, that kind of stuff. And I think that's really nice to see. But yeah, we have similar things like that. And it's like really nice to see.
Yeah, so it's like they see you as a whole person, right? And they understand that there's more that you need than just a paycheck. Yes, the paycheck is critical. Like you said, Eddie, the overtime is really, really helpful. And what does it take to be able to do a full-time job? Sometimes you need childcare. I've also been hearing, some of the Corps members are receiving help with their tax returns, career planning, of course, mentoring and connecting for their career pathways. And some very other important things. Tito, I know that you got some help from your local Corps. So what kind of help did they give you? What did they help you procure at a very hard time?
Well, like everybody remembers, in the stores, everything was getting taken, food, hygiene, toiletries. And so thankfully my Corps was able to, bless us with food, just, food distribution, food packages, hygiene stuff, toiletries, and there was also a few people here who were actually, in the homeless stage, I guess you can say, and they were actually there to help that as well. Sent them to a bunch of local shelters. Got them meals for the day. And
Right. Okay. Everything from toilet paper, yay, toilet paper, to housing, right? Like things that we need. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the teams behind you, all the teams at the local Corps who extended their care, remembered why they're here, to support the Corps members and your families too. A lot of what you're saying, guys, really makes me think that this has been a super challenging time, of course, but what I'm hearing, and we actually have this question from the audience right now, is there anything that you've experienced or learned during this time that you want to take with you? Kind of a silver lining, something that you've taken from this experience that you think will help you moving ahead into the future. I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. Ashley, let's start with you.
Okay, I've learned that anything can hit us. There's a lot of risks that we take every single day. It is, it is important to take in consideration of our lives. Appreciate those around us. Appreciate those who've helped us. A lot of people have, passed on from this COVID. I would just say, every day is a new blessing, a new day, and from what we learned and what we experienced, I believe that we take it amongst ourselves, share with our family, friends, and young children. If I believe it was a big risk working through the pandemic.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And audience, I just want to let you know that we will have some time at the end here if you have any questions to ask our core members. So you can go ahead and enter that into your chat box now. Thomas, how about you? What have you gained or what have you learned in this experience that you want to take forward?
Sure. So obviously, I sort of got into this sort of line of work because of the pandemic. The emergency shelters portion, at least. I've been serving with AmeriCorps for a few years now, but the specific line of work I got into because of the pandemic, and I found out that I really enjoy it. So that's definitely, I've learned a lot of skills and made a lot of connections within the time period that I've been in this program. So hopefully take those with me throughout the pandemic. But something else that is a little bit more practical, something I've noticed kind of out and about more kind of in stores and stuff. A lot of people are going like touchless and having people do stuff on their own phones and not really utilizing like paper and stuff as much because you have to like touch that and exchange it. So I really like the idea of that because it kind of saves on like waste and kind of helps the environment a little bit. Yeah.
Excellent. Spoken like a true environmentalist. Thank you so much, Thomas. How about you, Eddie? What's something that you've experienced or gained from this time that you want to take forward?
I think the pandemic actually led me to finding more job opportunities. Like it kind of got me out of my comfort zone. I actually realized that I like to be a hands-on person, be physical, do that kind of job. And I've also gained some leadership, that's something I've never really gone. Like I said, I've always been the conservative person, just stay at where I'm at. But I realized I can do more, and I think that's something I'm gonna apply to any other job.
Great. So this has opened up new doors for you, and you've even seen a side of yourself you hadn't seen before. Jacob, how about you? What have you seen in yourself that maybe you didn't know you had before?
For me, it goes back to my experience whenever I was helping out with the senior services. There was a specific moment when I think it was my first day actually helping out. We were delivering food to elderly in the community, and I remember one of the first people that we went up to. I remember putting down the packages on our doorstep. We ring the doorbell, we step back, and we just wait for them to open the door so that we know they're going to retrieve it. And I remember seeing her face of how grateful she was. I mean, you can tell when a person is genuinely authentic in their emotions, and she was happy to see us, and she had told me that she had been in our house for weeks. The only interaction she has had is with either CSET delivering food or with the friends and family that would drop off food at her doorstep for her. And I mean, it was a moment where I found something inside myself that I didn't know was missing. I mean, part of the reason why I came to the Corps is because I was looking for somewhere where I could advance, somewhere where I could learn more skills, somewhere where I can get something to where I can find and build upon on myself. And I was doing so. I was doing so well. I gained more skills. I learned more things. I was doing the best to maximize my potential. That's what I was all about, maximizing my potential. And there was a piece of it that I didn't realize I was gone until in that moment. And it was that one of the things that I love, and I don't truly feel fulfilled without it, is I need to maximize the potential in other people. I need to see people happy. It's something that I genuinely love now. Being able to see the reaction, it opened up the doors to me to see that I enjoy helping people. I grew up in a family to where most of the male mentors and the role models there, they were more of like the kind of, we take care of ourselves. type of people. They thought, you know, we take care of ourselves. That's what we do. Everyone else out of the picture. We make sure we're taken care of. So that's the kind of mindset that I had growing up. And I didn't realize that whenever I was focusing on building myself, I was missing an important piece. And that was helping out the community, helping people. That's something that I enjoy now. And that's a change that I get to make for like my little family that I'll eventually start. I get to change that line. I get to make other people see that there's more to just you're taking care of your family. Taking care of the community is also very important, and it's also very fulfilling. So that's something that I'll take from the core.
Wow, the gift of service. Thank you, Jacob. So well said. And Tito, how about you?
Well, for me, it's just I take care of yourself, take care of your family, and most of all, lend a hand. Because in the midst of this pandemic, it really just showed how divided everybody really was. And I mean, still social distance, but still, you know, come together. Because honestly, it just showed how people really need help out there. And I'm glad that we're in the field that we are, you know, to help out the community, like you guys are saying. But so for me, in the end, we just need to come together, help each other, lend a hand, like I said, because there's too much, there's a lot of stuff going on. And like Ashley said, this pandemic just kind of hit out of nowhere. So dividing it's not what we need right now.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are such amazing examples of that. Thank you. We continue to look up to you. And to that point, we have a question from the audience. One of our audience members wants to know what you guys see in the future for yourselves and your communities as the COVID picture changes, right? Hopefully we're getting closer to a time when COVID is not sort of dominating our lives. What do you see for yourselves? What do you see for your communities in this new age? I'll just open it up to anyone who wants to answer.
For me, what I'm hoping to see is I'm hoping to see people exactly like Tito was saying, lend a hand. I think it's going to have more of an impact on people because they're going to realize the importance of it. So I'm sure that I'm not the only person that was sort of raised with that mentality of like, you know, we're taking care of us, we're taking care of our family, which is the number one priority for a lot of people. That's completely understandable. But I think this is opening the doors to a lot of people seeing that it's not just about taking care of your family. It's also about lending a hand in the community. So what I'm hoping to see is I'm hoping to see more organizations. I'm hoping to see more communities take initiative in trying to make efforts to better the community. That's what I'm hoping to see.
Yeah, great.
Kind of like more support throughout the community, more of a lending hand, more of a knowing that because this pandemic we were still working and knowing that, you know, things are possible. Like Tito mentioned, you know, stay 6 feet apart, take precautions, wash your hands, follow the CDC guidelines, knowing that we had a lot of support from all our local cores. We were actually able to work through this pandemic, and you know, like Jacob and Tito mentioned, lending a hand and having the support is something big.
Yeah, I mean, what I hear you guys saying too is that you pay it forward, right? Like you're receiving that support from your local core, and then that gives you more to offer, right? That gives you more to offer your community. So something's happening right over there. Tito, what would you like to say about this?
Like they were saying, you know, just get more involved, honestly, because it's only going to change with us. So once we start doing what we have to do in order to, you know, make things better, the faster it'll be and the better things will be for everybody else. And like back to Jacob and Ashley, just get more involved, you know, just lend a hand, help out. It doesn't hurt to help somebody out, you know.
No, quite the opposite. Yeah, I hear people talking about the next generation, you know, coming. I'm like, no, y'all are here, right? You guys are already here. Thank you. The future is here. The future is now, and you guys are the example. Absolutely. Is there anyone, you know, that you guys want to thank? I know you've been receiving support, like you said. You've got teams behind you that are unseen and unheard in this moment. Do you want to give voice to any of the gratitude that you feel? Any people in particular, or anyone on your teams? I'll just open it up to whoever has a gratitude they want to share.
Yeah, I'd like to thank a former supervisor I had named Rocky. I think if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be up to the position that I am now. and for just mentoring me overall. I think she's been a great example. I also appreciate my other supervisors. You know, they're there for me. They always provide. They check in with me. You know, they help me grow.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
like
much. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jacob.
Just in general for me, the people that I would like to thank are the case managers and the supervisors here at the Corps. I mean, like I said, when we had to make that dramatic change, when we had to figure out ways to still help the community, and the best ways to help the community, they didn't forget that we're part of the struggling community. They don't forget that we came to them specifically because we needed a helping hand. Some of us needed employment. Some of us had small families. We needed to find something to try to build off of. Some of us are just trying to get our foot in the door because no one would hire us. There's plenty of reasons of why we came to the Corps, but they did not forget for 1 second that we are part of the struggling community and we are part of the program as a whole, that part of the reason why they're working, and it's to help the community. We are the community. They didn't forget that. So I would just like to thank anyone in case management, supervisors, every single one of them. They made efforts to make sure that we were taken care of and that we were okay.
Yeah.
And like Jacob mentioned, our Corps has never let us down. We have so many supportive, with case managers, with supervisors, with staff, with directors, with, you know, helping us out with taxes, with housing, with energy services, with, you name it, with, you know, if some of us were hit with COVID, there was always that, ability to apply for housing, not managing, you know, not having to pay your bills. We actually got those, that help, that benefit. And, like Jacob mentioned, we were a team. And through this pandemic, we continue to work and we continue to help our community as well. You know, our local conservation corps does. And I believe that was very important for us. And I honestly would just like to thank everyone here at my corps, and, you know, just having, never letting us down and just being that support till this day.
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
for me it would, I would like to thank God first of all, my family, and then the conservation corps. They just through all the positivity and all the extra help that they give, it makes going through the pandemic a little easier. They're constantly reminding you, you got a family to go home to, stay cautious, stay safe. There'd be times where I'd forget, I'd take my mask off, I'd slip up, and, they're there. Put your mask on, you got a family to go home to. So most importantly, yeah, the corps, the conservation corps, and God and my family. So
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful. Thomas?
I really like to thank, first off, my supervisor now, mainly Kenneth, or Kenny. He's been a real help to me. He's really been engaged in my progression and my personal and professional development, so that really means a lot to me. Also, Myra, the Corps Member Support Specialist here at SJCC. She's had multiple meetings with me regarding services that I need, so that was always really helpful to me. And lastly, my girlfriend does there for me throughout the pandemic when I was really struggling and not doing well. She was there for me, even though I may not have been the best person in that time. But yeah, thank you to her, and yeah, thank you to all the people I've met in this experience who have helped me grow and learn.
Wow, I mean, this just hits home. This is what really matters, right? This is maybe one of the silver linings of this crazy year, is that we are getting in touch with what matters. And you guys, again, are just amazing examples of that. I am so grateful to have been able to spend this time with you. I'm so proud of you. I hope you've been seeing the comments that have been coming up. Your community is listening to your stories today. They're saying thank you. We're so proud of all of you. Keep it going. You guys are such a great example. And again, I just feel so incredibly grateful for your service. I've been so fortunate to have been able to hear your stories over the last year. I'm so grateful that I've gotten to know you in the process of doing this Corps Conversations. And I'm just honored. Honestly, I see the sky is the limit for each of you, and all of your success is also your community's success, is also your family's success. And to me, that's what really matters, right? So thank you so much for being the amazing people that you are. Thank you to the teams behind you for helping to, as Jacob was saying, bring out your full potential. I just look forward to hearing and seeing you more and more as the days, weeks, months, and years go by. So thank you again, everybody. And I'm going to hand it back over now to our host, Ashley.
Thank you, Angela. At this time, we would like to introduce the next core conversation focusing on civilian climate change, a national program that trains and creates jobs for young people to work on conservation projects that addresses climate change. We're happy to announce at our next conversation event, which features Danielle Owens from the Core Network, who is an expert actually on all civilian climate Core related. This conversation will be monitored by Core members from Los Angeles, Conservation Corps, Urban Corps of San Diego. So stay tuned for these details that are actually coming soon. And if you like what you heard today and you also want to get involved, our CA Local Corps of Conservation is actually hiring. You can check out the website at mylocalcorps.org to find your local corps and contact us. Thank you, team, so much. And thank you again. We also want to thank CALC as the California Associate of Local Conservation Corps for Stories for All. For making this interview possible. You know, it's grateful that we can actually thank Cal, Humanities for our generous funding support of our conservation of young youth. Stay safe, everyone, and see you at the next conversation. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.